Jason Kelce is. All right. Maybe it'll be Philadelphia's turn next season. We've got 8 other teams we got to focus on in the playoffs, though. Let's talk Eagles just for a beat. Peter, what happened and where do they go from here?
That was epic. That collapse this season was epic. You know, they fired or relocated a defensive coordinator when they were 10-1, and everyone was like, "Yes, right decision. We got to do it. We got to do it. Got to do it. We're 10-1,
but we could be better.
10-1, but we could be 11-0." And then that decision might have spurred a million other decisions. But there is what's the term? Schadenfreude? Is that the term?
It's enjoying other people's misery.
When you enjoy other people's misery, Freud, whatever it was, it's when you watch it. I think the rest of the league has a little bit of a feeling watching this Eagles team do that because there really is a bravado coming from that building. There really is.
Okay.
It starts with maybe their coach mean mugging a little bit to the cameras, or after they beat Kansas City in the tunnel, Sirianni saying, "Come on, you're talking smack," whatever, doing all that stuff. So it also comes with around the league with how they built their team. And there's this feeling of, oh my God, the Eagles have a cheat code, and the Eagles, how did they get Keely Ringo? Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, wow, they got all the Georgia guys, and everyone else doesn't know what they're doing building a roster, but the Eagles, they get it. And Shaq Leonard, they got Shaq Leonard? Julio Jones is an Eagle? And then at the end of the day, there was depth issues on this team. There were linebacker issues with this team. The defensive backfield looked like it was underwhelming from the midway point of the season on. And I think at the end, it's a long season, and there was a lot of expectations. And I think there might have been a sense of panic when they made that decision with Sean Desai. There also might have been a sense of desperation of we know that this might go this way. We need to make a decision now. But for it to end yesterday the way that it did, kind of with a whimper, this tough, bravado, Philly, it's so unseemly. And that when you talk about Sirianni's, job status, I don't think it's crazy. I think that there's going to be a lot of discussions today about what do we do with this team as a whole, top to bottom. Personally, you can't let go of a coach a year after he takes his team to the Super Bowl. No, you can't.
You can do whatever you want.
And goes to the playoffs.
You can't. Now, there's lots of talk of Belichick. Do you think Belichick is coming in and he and Howie Roseman are necessarily going to be, perfectly in tune, and Howie's going to take a backseat to Belichick because he wants? I don't know if that works either. But anything that's being speculated right now, I think, has merit. And anything that's being speculated or said by the fans because of the way the season ended. You have to do something. There has to be something drastic. And maybe I'm being over, sensationalist right here. But it could have just come down to the fact that, we lost 2 great coordinators. Sirianni was great and Gannon was great, and we missed them this year, and we were scrambling from the start. Steichen, I'm sorry. Sirianni is there. But to go from 10-1, where they say to their defensive coordinator, you're not calling the plays at 10-1. 10-1, the one seed in the NFC, and sorry, it's not enough. It tells you the level of expectations and the standard there, and then it all just came crashing down. Kelce retires. We'll talk about it all day. I think we had to get our thoughts on the Eagles as their demise is, I don't want to say unprecedented. We've seen some teams do this. I remember the Giants the year after they won the Super Bowl. They kind of fell apart towards the end of the season. And it does happen. Teams miss the playoffs after losing the Super Bowl all the time. This one was epic, though, and I think the way that they carried themselves, I think the rest of the league, there was a bit of schadenfreude throughout this entire thing.
Yeah, they followed the lead of their head coach, and you look at their team, and what the hell happened? Because they were 10-1, and like you just said, they lost both coordinators, but they were 10-1. They found out a way to rebound and to win games, and from that point on, the train did just fall off the track. And as I'm watching them play on defense last night, and particularly the defensive backfield, you're watching and it's just like, all right, there's one thing you can talk about, the talent, all this, that. Why are you not trying to tackle anyone? That was amazing to me. There's 4 guys right here that have a chance, and he scores. And it was just unbelievable, play after play after play, from the beginning of the game to the very end of the game. I'm watching my guy Kevin Byard out there, who was a good player in Tennessee. I'm like, he went to Philly, and it's like they stole all his powers to be able to go play football, because it was like a whole collective thing of, you couldn't pinpoint one guy. Obviously, Bradbury struggled last night, but it was a total team effort defensively of not being able to tackle anybody. And it's so hard to look at it because you talked about the roster that Howie Roseman built, and you look up and down this roster, you're like, wow, really good player, top driver. And there's so much talent, but there's just something missing about this team. Even their body language and everything on the sideline. As you just watch this whole thing unfold, there was something terribly wrong with Philadelphia from a coaching standpoint, from a playing standpoint. And it almost looked like the guys on defense were like, the hell with it, we like Sean Desai, so now we're just not going to play hard. They completely fell apart. I was dying laughing. Mina Kimes even tweeted out, the defense takes poor angles, and when she asked her husband to take pictures of her. And it was a great description as you're watching that Philly team last night.
Funny.
Because as a husband, you know the struggles of trying to take those pictures of your wife when it's the perfect scene.
above.
And it's like you're not doing it quite right. But it was amazing watching them last night just to see the way they completely fell apart.
Yeah, like the Eagles defense had like 6 chins and like
Yeah.
just looked all terrible.
Awful.
And like, you think that looks good? Like, you're not supposed to do that.
I feel like I should put on like a hazmat suit right now and like use tongs or something. I feel like I'm gonna get infected and our show is gonna get like sick from talking about this. It's just, we've tried to describe it in so many ways. One of my favorite comedians, Sam Morrill, tweeted last night. Sam Morrill. He tweeted, the movie Philadelphia is more uplifting than the second half of the Eagles season. Jesus, Sam. Philadelphia is a really sad movie, really sad. Sirianni likes these boxing metaphors, all right? And here we have stats. So they lost a lot at the end. We
Makes
know
sense,
that.
Kyle.
And buy Old Trapper beef jerky.
Yes, get that out of here. Kyle Cook.
Jesus.
Let me get you this important
Make your boxing
screen.
metaphor.
It's my first day on the show, though.
Oh, that's it.
So Sirianni likes the pugilistic metaphors and stuff. And Nick, all right, I'll give you one. You guys went from Mike Tyson to Glass Joe in 2 months. Not even Piston Honda, Von Kaiser, Don Flamenco, just Glass Joe, whose whole MO was he was sitting there begging Little Mac to knock him out so he could go home. He wanted to be knocked out. To Jason's point, those Eagles tacklers might be like, I don't know, you got rid of our guy, screw you. We're going to do a code red on our own defense. Last night, so Jalen Hurts is banged up, is it maybe a knee thing, a finger thing? Well, they got this great offensive line. They got Kelsey and Lane Johnson. Let's run. Let's just run the ball. They ran 5 times for 17 in the first half. The last time they played the Bucs, they ran for 201 yards. Yep. What was the game plan? What were you doing? There's a lot of first-time sinces with the Eagles. Last night, first time since 1988, no third or fourth down conversions in a playoff game. First time since 1986, the team started 10-1 and then finished with 7 losses or more. Guys, I did something fun. So we keep saying, they started 10-1, they started 10-1, blah, 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 blah. What happened? I went back and I looked at the Good Morning Football episode from 11/27. It was November 27th.
Give us a timestamp.
All right, November 27th. They had beaten the Eagles the night before, or they beaten the Bills the night before, okay? Oh, yeah. They had gone to 10-1. And here's the 4 of us. I don't even have the clip. Here's what we all were talking about in the Eagles the day after going 10-1. Jason McCourty, quote, Jalen Hurts comes to play when the competition level is high. He comes to play. Kyle Brandt, the Bills are not good enough to hang with the Eagles. The Eagles are that good. I just want to take a time out right now. If you were to power rank all 32 teams in the NFL right now, I think the Eagles are like 23. They're in the mid-20s. There's a handful of teams that they could beat right now. Continuing. On November 27th, Jamie Erdahl, the Eagles delivered at the right time. They did, Jamie. They haven't delivered since. But the piece de resistance here is from Peter Schrager, who on November 27th, when the Eagles had just gone 10-1 by beating the Buffalo Bills, said, the Eagles are the most resilient team in NFL history. Yeah. And NFL, Peter, you were putting them over all the teams you grew up with in the 90s and the 80s and the 2000s. You're saying, no one encounters adversity and battles back more than this team. And at the time, it felt right.
They had just beaten the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. Right. They were overcoming everything. They had all these injuries. They continued to do it. And yet, 10-1, everyone else seemed to know that I didn't. I believed, but I guess I was wrong.
Peter continued.
Hey, stop up.
Peter continued.
What did I take yesterday, Kyle?
Peter continued.
I took the Bucs to win that game and had no doubt.
The Eagles. The Eagles are the most resilient team. And Peter goes on.
Okay, what else got?
I don't know if they've even shown us their best game yet. Ooh. I think it's coming this weekend against the 49ers. It's a tough one. But my point is not that to make Peter look stupid. At the time, Peter's like, we're like, yeah. And it's not just us. Like, Stephen A. that day is saying, this Eagles team is special. And Orlovsky's doing backflips for the Jalen Hurts MVP campaign. We all were in. Yes. We all were in. And then since then, the Eagles haven't been in. It is a truly, truly gruesome, disgusting meltdown. And Nick Sirianni has questions to answer about it. Unbelievable.